Good evening. It is time for your weekly 45-minute session with the guys who'd sell a kidney to get you all the midweek news from Liverpool FC, but wouldn't kiss your sister for $17 or less. It is the ASTV American Scouser TV Thursday Night Podcast with me and Macka, and we have Brian. Brian, how are you today?
Doing great.
And then we have this sort of strange apparition that just reappeared before us. Trevor, how are you this week?
Significantly better this week. Significantly better.
So before we go on to the stuff that we're usually going to talk to, it's a particular thing for me is the third anniversary of the death of this lad here, Gerard Houllier, who I would say it would not be allowed to maybe say that we would not be the club we are in the modern era now if it wasn't for him. He was still our most successful manager in trophies won, but also he made the club attractive again. He made the club something that if Rafa Benitez or Jurgen Klopp would want to come to, and gave us back a European pedigree. So it's always worth remembering because he gets forgotten sometimes because he wasn't as glamorous as the aforementioned managers, and definitely nowhere near as glamorous as Brendan Rodgers and his teeth. But still, probably one of the most important managers in our modern history, at least. But let's get on to what we're going to talk about tonight. We'll talk about the game earlier this afternoon. The kids are relatively decent. It was what it was as a game is the best way to put it. We'll talk about the subs. They're all Who songs, by the way, just in case anybody has noticed. Thiago Alcantara, we'll talk about his reappearance apparently in training and what that might mean going forward. Probably for the most of the show, we'll look forward to the weekend game against our bitter rivals. And I'd see the pun on George Best there. See, I got everything going with that one. And then we'll end with Macka's Moral Matter, which have changed it again this week to a different name. But that's what we'll do tonight. So let's talk about the game. We'll start with you, Brian. We talked before we went on air about the highlights of the game, and there were apparently 17 minutes worth of them, and I've no idea how we pulled 17 minutes worth of highlights out of that game. But it really was a true definition of the phrase men against boys, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it was basically just the kids against men. I mean, we had a sprinkling of our first team there, but just a mere sprinkling, and it seemed like that sprinkling right there got drawn into the kids' game, and also more or less like Harvey Elliott. But it was good to see Cade Gordon actually get a run out. I mean, it was good to see these guys that for the academy go there and get some minutes behind them, and especially seeing Kwanzaa get that first goal. So I mean, it was a rubber stamp match, so we got what we wanted.
Trevor, what did you think of the game? I think we have a picture of the team lineup just before they went onto the pitch. For anybody who's interested, there's Darwin Núñez on the far left with his pigtails, getting ready, even though he wasn't starting. But yeah, it was a very young team, Trevor. It was nice to see all of those players. It was nice to see Doak getting a start. Nice to see Cade Gordon, as Brian said before we went on air. But put them in the normal starting first team as, a guest appearance, so to speak, and they look quite okay. But as a group together, they really did look like we played the under-21s against a proper men's professional team, didn't they?
Yeah, and you could see on many occasions that they were incredibly overwhelmed in a lot of instances. And the one that I see the most that people were kind of like taking shots at was Bradley, because it seems like every time he plays,
because he doesn't exist.
That's his first Pokemon form, Calvin Ramsey. Now we got to make sure.
That's right.
We got to make sure that he doesn't exist. But
he doesn't.
Figure out he exists because he shows up on every score sheet because he gets booked every fucking time he plays. And there was a couple times where they got through. The two fullbacks I thought were decent but leaning more towards bad, while the wings were decent but leaning more towards bad. But there's nothing that I could really take from this game, because there was we talk constantly about Jones always keeping the ball, but every time he got it, he was losing it because nobody was available to pass to. So he'd try to dribble around 5 people and he'd lose it. And then I was seeing that, oh my God, this was Jones's worst game. I'm like, this is not even close to his worst game. Let's pump the brakes on that one immediately. But as we've been saying from the start, this was a nothing game. It was good to see these kids get some minutes, as painful as those minutes were, even while watching extended highlights. And once again, highlights is you pick what a highlight is.
The frosted tips of the game. Let's call it that. The frosted tips of the game.
Yeah, this wasn't even like frosted tips. This was like the middle of a dreadlock. I don't even know how they picked some of these as highlights. There was literally one part of it where they just ran and then it just went to the next thing. Like somebody ran for 15 seconds and that was the highlight. I don't know what constitutes a highlight anymore, but I guess that's it.
Brian, Kwanzaa got off the mark. He got his first senior Liverpool goal, which is great. But my question is, did he get caught out an awful lot? Because we seem to get caught flat like a big Ange Tottenham Hotspur team. USG's tactics seem to be to delay that ball, play over the top or through down the wings, and then run onto it with speed. So did you think, like I did, that Kwanzaa got caught out with that a lot? And secondly, is it also maybe a slight damning indictment of Konaté's leadership skills that he didn't organise the back four better once we figured that out?
Yeah, I saw the goal that was basically really his fault with it. But like you said right there, I mean, you would think Konaté being a senior defender right there would be organized in that back line a little bit better. I mean, but again, you have to go there and stay healthy for at least 2 matches right there to actually be able to organize something. But I think, I mean, Kwanzaa's a young defender. These moments are gonna happen to him. I mean, you figure that a good defender doesn't come to age until at least 25, 26. I mean, until they really get that good foot behind them. So it's just another lesson learned for the kid. I mean, I think that again, a kid, he's got a bright future. He's going to keep on building up.
Trevor, Gakpo was on the field. He didn't seem to impact much. We had a lot of possession in the first half, but I don't think we had any shots until the goal at all. We've only had 3 shots in the entire game. All 3 were on target, and one of them was the goal. Is it a case where we cannot expect too much of of Endo, Gakpo, and Konaté, given what they were surrounded with? Or should we expect more in terms of leadership and impact when they are surrounded by that kind of a team, because we want them to step up and say, this is how things are done if you want to play at this level consistently?
Yeah, I tend to think that good players should be asked to bring up the levels of mediocre or younger players. That's what, if you bring guys in, especially for big money or with big expectations, the thing should be, you make the people around you better. But there's only so much that you can do on a football pitch. If you get the ball and you look up and you're used to seeing Mo Salah bombing up a run, and then you have over there Cade Gordon, a guy coming off a long-term injury who doesn't have any chemistry, and then you look up and you pass the ball and it ends up going out for a goal kick. Yeah, it makes you look like you don't know what you're doing, but it's kind of just muscle memory a lot of times where they're just used to getting the ball in a certain space and then turning, especially Gakpo, a guy that likes to come deep, get it, and then feed out. If the people that are there aren't going where he really wants them to go, it's going to make him look worse. But as you talked about a leadership standpoint, it should be incumbent on him to go over, hey, when I get the ball here, then you do this. I know you don't know to like instinctively do that yet, but I'm telling you to do that. That's where I think, especially with Konaté and Kwanzaa, because I agree with the goal, the first goal they scored, that's entirely because Kwanzaa kind of just cheated up, and then he didn't have enough speed to get back. And even if he did close him down, they could have just cut it across and Kelleher was beat regardless. I think, the senior players that were playing today, I think needed to speak up more. And maybe if we had different senior players in there, maybe they would have.
Brian, just as we mentioned Kelleher there, you had some misgivings about his position in the first half, but he did get better in the second half and he did pull off some good saves. But overall, was that an example of why Allison doesn't have to worry about his position in the next 2 seasons or so? Because Kelleher has potential, but maybe not Liverpool starting goalkeeper potential.
Yeah, I think that that this little run of matches right there, I'm sure that he would have hoped that Allison would have had a couple more weeks out injured to be able to go and shop window himself out, because I don't think that he's actually going to be our keeper in the long run. I think that that Allison's definitely pretty safe for as long as Allison is a viable keeper in the international wise. But I think that we may be seeing the end of Kelleher probably sooner rather than later.
In terms of the overall Europa League performance, Trevor, we did everything textbook. We lost the one game that we maybe didn't want to have lost in terms of the manner of it. But otherwise, we essentially did what we set out to do, which was top the group, get into the post-Christmas European rounds. Did we perform as expected, number one? And number two, and Brian can take this one as well, what do our prospects look for winning the whole thing?
I think with what teams are left in the Europa League, we've got to be one of like the 3 favorites. And I really don't fear anybody in the round of 16 draw, because the playoff round, there's the playoff round, and then
it's the round of 128, Trevor. It's the round of 128.
Drop down place the second place teams, and then those go through. Yeah, that my big thing was not taking this competition seriously enough that where you had to go into that playoff round. I wanted no part of that. Not that any of the teams that were potentially dropping down for the Champions League didn't think like couldn't beat them or anything. I just didn't want to add the extra fixtures to the schedule. That was my big thing. I don't want this time of year is already just more games than I'm comfortable with watching, never mind them playing. Like it's hard to keep up. But I say if we don't make at least the semifinals, it's going to be kind of disappointing. But we'll see what the draw looks like, and we'll go from there.
Brian, what's your overall take of our performance in the group and our prospects going forward?
I think we finished where we wanted to finish on that. We wanted to go. I wish we would have came through and actually had 2 matches to spare right there to get the first spot. But to go through 1 match was fine right there. I wanted to have a little bit more time for the kids to get some playing time. Obviously we have to be one of the favorites. And definitely Sevilla's not in it, so that makes life even easier right there, because they seem like they win it every time they're in the competition. So I don't really fear the teams that drop down for the Champions League. I think we're in a good spot. Like what Trevor said, if we don't get to the semis, I'll be kind of disappointed that in our run. We definitely have all the potential to go there and to at least go there, get to the final.
So let's kind of segue a little bit in terms of what Trevor was saying about the extra games, because extra games mean injuries to players, and injuries to players at Liverpool mean talking about one guy in particular, Thiago Alcantara, spotted walking into a building. Could have been a Liverpool training ground building. We don't know. I think it was, though. Was he just there to pick up some like bagels and cream cheese from the cafeteria, Trevor? Or is it possible we're going to see him at some point over the Christmas, baby? And if so, what does that mean for the midfield?
Well, first we should have some at this point when any of our shows on this channel talk about Thiago, like light the anon signal, because that's something that we kind of just have that guy on the scene of the crime that always has to talk about that. But I don't believe it. I was saying before, this might as well be an AI generated image, because until I see him like sitting on the bench or with more than 5 seconds of video of active training, I'm just gonna assume I'm just gonna assume that he's hurt until his tenure at the club ends. It's the easiest way to just keep it fresh out of your head that he is is a player on the team, and when he does come back, whatever, I think he's a good mentor for the midfield, but I don't think he's going to get significant minutes outside of a deep Moose Cup run.
Brian, do you agree? Do you think Thiago is destined to be a substitute until they take him out back and shoot him and convert him into glue, or is he? If he can get back to prime fitness, would he be a threat to any of the three midfielders in terms of their starting times?
He's not going to be a threat. I seriously still doubt that he's ever going to actually play again for us. I mean, it's like Trevor said, he's like an AI image to me right now. I don't even know he even exists in real life anymore. I mean, it's like the player who once was Thiago, basically. I mean, I haven't seen him actually kick a ball, and was it coming on almost into a year now? I mean, was it February? I think he got hurt last year. So I mean, I just don't see. I don't know what we're going to get out of him. I don't think he's really a threat to anybody except for maybe if we have Endo in that starting, but he's not a number 6. So it's like, what do you do with him right there? I mean, maybe put him in the Carabao Cup. Maybe I don't know. Play for that highlight player for the U21s. Got me. I mean, but I just don't see us see Thiago being a viable candidate for our midfield at the moment.
Yeah, we're gonna Scooby Doo him and take the mask off, and it's gonna be Naby Keita,
who then falls down because he got injured in the unmasking. Trevor, do you think would you consider at this point now, given his injuries, that Thiago Alcantara is like that really nice beer that you once drank that you wish you could drink all over again, but at the same time, it was such a luxuriant experience that you like to have it in the memory? Because I don't remember Thiago having a consistent run of greatness. It always seemed to be interrupted and road bumped the entire time. That all I remember is the great bits, and don't remember the times when he was coming back from injury and couldn't kick snow off a rope.
Yeah. Everybody can just sensationalize and I almost said memorialize like he's dead, but just might as well be at this point. Sorry. But those crossfield passes that fall on a dime right in a winger's lap, and you're just going, yeah, such happier times with Thiago. And those are now something where you can't even place where they were anymore. You just know that they happened. Like you're at a party, we were at this guy's house, but he did. Wait, was it that? No, I swear it happened though. That is what Thiago's Liverpool career is now for me. I know good things happened, but I can't tell you the last time I remember him scoring a goal. I can't tell you the last time I remember a memorable 8 out of 10 performance. I just know they happened. But if you put me on a witness stand and ask me to recant my favorite Thiago memory, you might as well just throw me in jail because I don't know, and I'm not going to perjure myself thinking that I can recollect it at this point.
Brian, is Thiago Alcantara Calvin Ramsey's alter ego?
His older brother. I'm just waiting for tomorrow, the next time Anand's on, to have his rebuttal against all of us for talking about Thiago this way. I mean, we already came there and already on his hit list right there for talking about Darwin Nunez. I mean, so just throw it at the Thiago situation. So, we're probably on Anand's most wanted list at the moment.
Is it possible, Trevor and Brian, that Thiago's post-playing career will involve coaching, or is he destined to be a crash test dummy? Or a first aid dummy as well for people learning how to treat injuries?
Doesn't that mean you have to like get hurt multiple times if you're?
That's what he does.
But won't like the impact like just destroy him the first time and like he's a single use dummy?
He's immune to it now. It's like those what you call the Muay Thai boxers who break their shins off the trees to strengthen the bone. He's practically maybe he's the next RoboCop. Actually, maybe that's what his post-playing career is going to be. But let's leave Thiago where he belongs.
The question: he's gonna start fighting crime in futuristic Detroit, and
I mean, is there a futuristic Detroit?
Yeah, he's got that bodysuit ahead of him.
But let's leave Thiago where he belongs, which is the treatment table. And we'll talk about what's coming up ahead. It is one of the games I think that I certainly look forward to every year, especially as I have a lot of Manchester United supporting friends and family. We can talk about us. We can talk about who we think is going to play, but let's start with talking about the absolute shambles that Manchester United is in, Brian. But they're in a shambles in a very Manchester United way, in the sense that they're actually not doing too bad if they were any other club. They're up there challenging for the top 4 spots, but they don't look like a top 4 team. They look like a mid-table team. And they have all sorts of injuries and they have all sorts of discipline problems. And it sounds all the time like there's no support for that manager, Eric Ten Hag. Embarrassing the name Eric, how dare he? But Brian, do you think this is going to be? It's never a walkover with United game, but do you think this is going to be potentially one of the most highest scoring Manchester United games we've been involved in?
I mean, I don't really think so. I think this you can't take form into account with these type of matches. Like when we play Everton, you don't know what you're going to get for these matches. I mean, we've seen red card. I mean, how many red cards started? The Steven Gerrard red card in like 15 seconds, basically, when his last match against him. I mean, we've seen all kinds of different stuff happen with them. Now, as far as their injuries go, I mean, it's pretty bad. I was talking to my coworker. I don't even know who they're going to start in their back line because just about their entire starting back line is injured. I mean, then the antics of Bruno Fernandes. I mean, in that last match. I mean, it's sad, but it's funny. I mean, all at the same time. I mean, I don't wish the absolute best on them. I hope that this is like consistent form, but it just shows you how level this we are in the league at the moment, right there, to have them sit in 6th place. I mean, how the hell? I mean, with a team that 1 week beats Chelsea and next week gets trounced by Bournemouth. I mean, what? I don't even understand who they are. I mean, Anthony probably has to be one of the worst signings I think probably I've seen in their kits. I mean, I've seen some pretty bad stuff right there. You know, the Fabio twins and stuff like that. I mean, but Anthony's probably horrible. So I hope we beat them bad, but I just don't see it. I think it's gonna be a competitive match. I mean, I don't see us trouncing them.
Trevor, just let me go through the list according to live score. Lisandro Martinez, Casemiro, Anthony Martial, Christian Eriksen, Harry Maguire, Luke Shaw, Marcus Rashford, Mason Mount, Victor Lindelof, Sancho for personal reasons, and Bruno Fernandes for disciplinary points. I mean, it's not a bad team to have out in general terms in the league. It's a a top 6 team to have out. What's left for them to compete with hopefully a well-rested, very hyper and up for the fight league leaders, Liverpool?
I genuinely am scared of this game because of the amount of people that they have out. And it's usually one of those things where you look at it and go, oh, yeah, just take advantage of it. But these are the types of things where we just kind of fall into that pit of, oh, yeah, they're going to be starting like a ball boy and the corpse of Rafael Varane in the center of defense, and we won't have a shot until like the 36th minute or some shit like that.
Let me just point out that the corpse of Rafael Varane is probably still fitter than Thiago Alcantara.
It's very fair. Actually, no. They're like a nesting doll. Thiago is actually in Varane, and his fragility is keeping Varane healthy. They're kind of just like doing that Wonder Twins type of deal. But
this is a PG show, Trevor. Now be careful there.
Wonder Twins. You now with this. With the level of searching and things, you may want to have to put that in quotations so you get the actual cartoon and not just what a wonder these twins did and then just unmentionable things. But that's all right.
Like play for United. That's always unmentionable.
Hey, bringing up the De Silva brothers, they less wonderful twins. My thing with this game is always. I want that. I just kind of want to punish them because growing up, there was 2 sets of fans in Rhode Island that were the most annoying, and it was Manchester United and AC Milan. And anytime that we can just kind of humiliate them or humble them, brings joy to my heart. But you kind of have to like feel from the standpoint that they have an entire roster injured. So you want to like take advantage of that, but it's just always in the back of my head. Oh, great. When this will be the game that Anthony finally gets his head out of his ass and stops doing twirls like he's in friggin' Swan Lake and scores a goal. I don't want to like will that into existence, but these are the things that I get scared of on these match days. I want to score early, score often, use like the Cobra Kai, strike hard, give all the Cobra Kai mantras. Let's go with that immediately. Put this game to
enemy deserves no Martial.
Can I just go buy a plant right now? Either way, yeah. I want this game to be over by noon. It starts at 11:30. I want it to be over by noon so I don't have to like piss away the rest of my day with senseless fear.
Brian, we talked about Liverpool and Kelleher's position, etc., etc. But how much of a factor will Onana be in this game on Sunday?
Onana's. I mean, how is that a £50 million keeper? I mean, you came there and left.
I don't think he's a 15-cent keeper.
No, I mean, you can't let De Gea go right there. I mean, you were worried about the positioning, about his keeping, and you got this guy. I mean, this guy's rough. I mean, yeah.
Would Trevor's plant, would your ex-plant be a better goalkeeper than Onana is for United right now? Because he reminds me, not Fabian Barthez. They had a keeper around about that time. Bosnich, Mark Bosnich. Is he Mark Bosnich levels of terribleness?
My thing with Onana that I've never understood how, and it's a a couple times I've heard like Tony Meola talk about this. He goes, the first job of a goalkeeper is to stop shots. All of this romanticism about guys that can like play out of the back and are good with their feet, but can't stop a shot to save their lives. What fucking good are they? And I've since he's been at like Ajax, there's low light reels of Onana that are just horrendous. Every year he has like double-digit howlers, but they're like, oh man, but he's so good at starting attacks, and they'll show like one assist he had. I'm like, Allison does that like every other week, and he does it, and Onana does it once, and they're like, ooh, wow, he's look at how talented he is. The guy has the most shots that I've seen from a top level goalkeeper go through him. He gets nutmegged he gets nutmegged more than like an NHL goalkeeper. There's just nothing to the guy's game that I see being sustainable as a top level goalkeeper, but he keeps like failing upwards. Like Ajax to Inter, and they're like, oh, but Inter made the final. I'm like, yeah, because they played 7 defenders the entire way to the final. And then when they got there, they couldn't do anything. And then they give up and granted, it wasn't necessarily a super soft goal, but it was a savable goal, and they lose. I don't see how this guy's entire career has been kind of just buoyed by maybe him and like Eric Ten Hag go on like weird holidays together or something. I don't know. That there's nothing that logically explains how he has failed up to be the starting goalkeeper of Manchester United.
Here's Brian now, whose signal was dropped just as bad as Onana drops a ball. A daisy cutter into his legs. So in terms of Liverpool now, like we kind of don't really know what to expect with United in terms of who they actually have fit to play. But we can maybe take a good educated guess at what Liverpool are going to do. Obviously, Alisson will be back in goal. Will be, I don't know. I'd imagine what you think. Van Dijk and Konate maybe at the back, and then Tsimikas and Trent fullbacks. Would that sound about like predictable enough? Because I can't see Kwanzaa getting the game to start against United.
I mean, it's either going to be I'd either go Gomez or Konate, one of the two.
What about the midfield? Well, we talked about having Endo in there as a proper number 6, but he didn't pull up any trees today against like what would essentially probably be a championship side if they played in England, if that. Do we try Gravenberch back there, or do we stick with Endo and then walk around him? We go with Brian because
I think at this stage you kind of got to just roll with Endo and use your midfield depth as substitutes until McAllister's back, whenever that is, which is looking more towards like the end of January at this point. Not super stoked about it, but that's kind of where it is at this point. It kind of gives Jurgen more options late in game if he needs to go more attacking, or if he could potentially bring on like another defender, shore things up, and just kind of almost probably play like 3 center backs, or let Trent come in the middle more often and just move Gomez out right, which he's done a couple times this year. That
I'm not sure I want to see Trent coming in the middle more often, though, Trevor, to be fair.
I don't want it, but it's something more that, yeah.
I'm thinking I was Wonder Twins again.
Yeah.
Alan says that the under-9s could play United, and here they are, if anybody's in any doubt.
Yeah.
But Brian,
Darwin got shorter.
Yeah, he got shorter. Yeah, his pigtails are still there though. Brian, in terms of the attack, did Gakpo do enough to start against United, or should we go back to Nunes? Is he going to be the threat?
Did he get musked again?
I think he's thinking about it long and hard. Trevor, what do you think? Do you think Gakpo did enough tonight to stake a claim? There's Brian's back. We've got him moving, but or should Darwin Nunes be the one to start against United?
I think Nunez is going to start again. I mean, I think that's Mo's preferred partner, and I think that's who's going to start. I mean, I honestly like to have wouldn't mind seeing Gakpo behind Nunez. I mean, I think that's a good spot for him to play, but I think in that little bit of a midfield spot in the middle. But I think that you're going to see Nunez, you're going to see Diaz, Nunez, and Mo. I mean, that's Klopp's preferred starting three.
Mo's preferred partner, Trent coming in the middle, and the Wonder Twins. Does Timuchin get us sponsored by Pornhub, lads, by any chance?
Hey, if not that, I'm sure X Videos is lurking as well. We have lots of options to go the X-rated route. We got X's owner ruining Brian's signal over and over and over again. Just lots of X's. RIP DMX. Just Thursday night is just now the X show.
It's the degeneration of the X.
It's like the scrambled satellite service when I was a kid watching, trying to watch adult films.
Yeah, the scrambly channels where you have to just go one up and then one back. Anybody in my area, like 54.4, that was the key. People of a certain age will know what I'm talking.
We will no longer be on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. We are now going to be on Cinemax. For anybody who's watching. So here's my question. Obviously, if we just assume that Nunes is the preferred upfront foil for Salah, who goes on the left? Is it going to be Diaz, or is it going to be something different that we might not expect, Trevor?
It's got to be Diaz until we start to get, I think, more of these like we saw today. Some of these young kids that are going to probably get more and more minutes towards the end of the year. I don't think anybody can supplant Diaz over there right now with Jota banged up, and I don't think he's going to do Darwin and Gakpo up front. I like what Brian suggested with kind of having Gakpo be kind of like a Bobby Light, where he kind of just gets there and acts as like a second fulcrum between the midfield and the attack, because he is that guy that can pick a pass, and he's a guy that really has a decent understanding of where the winger's going to be. And as much as Mo likes how Nunez draws in a lot of heat and they have decent enough chemistry together, if you can make things happen, your return passes don't mean shit when you lead the league in offsides. So that there has to be a give and a take at some point with Diaz and Nunez, where we give somebody another opportunity, or we kind of change it up, because there's, as it stands, what's our reasoning that they're Mo's boys, so they play every week? All right, cool. But if it just doesn't produce, then what's really the point?
Brian, we talked about Elliot getting dragged down to the level of the kids today. We've also talked previously about how he maybe should be looking for starts. Did he do himself any damage in today's game, or is he still a viable candidate to start against United?
Or to get mushed again?
It's another tough one.
Yeah. Oh. Hey. It wouldn't be Thursday night without technical.
It would not be Thursday night without technical issues.
Hey, we have a brand to uphold.
That's all your fault, Trevor, for talking about Musk.
Yeah.
He has the ears out. What do you think, Trevor? Oh, there we go.
Yeah, I think he's definitely a viable candidate to start. I mean, after the way he finished the last match, definitely. I mean, I don't know if he's going to. I mean, it's going to be either him or Curtis Jones on that part. I think that Slavo hasn't really done enough to lose his spot to Gravenberch yet. But I mean, to me, honestly, I don't think that Indo should be that number 6. I think that we should probably put Gravenberch in the yeah. If you see that, that's my dog wants to be on the podcast. Yeah, but yeah, I'd like to see Gravenberch as the number 6, and then have like either Jones or Harvey on one side with Zlabo and that. But to me, this side beckons to be a 4-3-2-1. I mean, I think that we'd get a lot of success out of this side with the 4-3-2-1. I mean, so we'll see what happens though.
Before we go on to the moral dilemma of this week, score predictions, Trevor. How are you going to go? Conservative or adventurous?
We're going to go in the middle of conservative adventurous, and that is the old Timuchin special. I'm going 3-1, and they're going to, like I correctly predicted for the wrong game last week, there's going to be a penalty, and it's going to be called on time this week. It's not going to be called 7.5 minutes after the thing happened, but it's going to be 3-1 to the good guys.
Brian, what's your score prediction? Conservative or adventurous?
Conservative. I think we're going to win 2-0. I don't see it. I think that we've got a lot of hype about how many injuries they have, but I mean, I think that still some of their kids are fairly decent. I mean, I think Garnacho right there is a fairly decent player. I mean, I think they still have a little bit to them, but I do think that we're just going to get a 2-0 win out of that.
I'm going to go 4-0 adventurous because it's at Anfield. Old Trafford might be a bit more conservative, but it's at Anfield, I think, isn't it? So 4-0 to the good guys, and that's only because we take our foot off the pedal near the end, just out of respect. So before we go, it's time for Macka's moral minute matter dilemma, whatever I'm calling it this week. It's this: would you rather have the combined physical robustness of Naby Keita and Thiago Alcantara, or the goalkeeping skills of Onana?
Well, I already have the physical.
But for Liverpool.
Oh,
yeah, you have to play for Liverpool.
Okay, I'll go with the physical robustness because I can't hurt you if I'm injured. I can only hurt myself, and that's that bit of selflessness that I bring to the table. If I'm as shit of a goalkeeper as Onana, I don't want to play. So yeah, I will take. Well, I already got fucked up knees and a bad back, so it's not really a change from the norm. I'll just exist less because. Yeah, Thiago lives in the same neighborhood as Calvin Ramsey. Connor Bradley's moving in pretty soon. I'm sure Luke Chambers has looked at apartments in the area. There's lots of movings and shakings in non-existingville. And if I could just get a studio apartment there, yeah, I'd feel pretty good about it.
Brian, which would you rather have? Given that your internet signal already has the physical robustness of Naby Keita and Thiago Alcantara.
Yeah, no shit. I think I'd have to go there and take Ox's spot right there in the physio room right there with the physique of Thiago And so I definitely would want to be. I want no parts of Onana because at least Onana gets watched. You're sitting in the physio room right there. You're just kind of there. It's the selfishness that Trevor has. I have equally.
The Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain Memorial training table,
sponsored by Timuchin. Here, just for the magic of modern technology, I'm pretty sure I can do an impression of Thiago Alcantara. Now you see me, now you don't. Now you see me, now you don't. So if anybody wants to know what it's like to be Thiago Alcantara, that's what it's like. And here's my impression of Naby Keita. Now you don't see me, and now you still don't see me, and now you still don't see me. Oh, I've left the club. So with that said, it just remains to say thank you to everybody who joined us. Thank you for being here again, Trevor and Brian. Make sure everybody out there in American Scouts or TV land is following us on YouTube, following us on Facebook and Instagram, and make sure you are on our Discord channel because that's where the fun stuff is. The morning coffee shows on tomorrow morning, sponsored by Reckless Coffee. Make sure you're buying your coffee from them, and make sure you're getting your Christmas Liverpool goodies through the links on our websites, on our Facebook page. From the Liverpool store, because that's a good thing to do. That's a good thing to do is to get your Liverpool stuff for Christmas. And then the fantasy show is right next to us in about 14 minutes if you're into that. I am not, because I'm really bad at it. I'm as bad at fantasy football
as my internet.
As your internet, and Thiago Alcantara's playing career at Liverpool in terms of 21. But we will see everybody next Thursday, I hope and believe, with an internet connection. It has to be your turn this week. It's worked for so long. Somebody has to take that mantle or take that ball and run with it. It'll be Trevor's when he gets his plant replacement that interferes with the signal.
Yeah,
it'll be a 5G plant. But just make sure everybody watches that. We probably have a pre and a post match on Sunday for the Man United Liverpool game, so make sure you're on that. And then we will see everybody next week. Peace out, and here comes the porn.